Welcome back to another episode of Get Real with Michael Atencio, and of course, that is moi. I'm Michael Atencio. Tonight's show is a big one for me because it's the first time that I've stepped in front of the camera, and instead of just making videos from behind the camera, and it's about a passion of mine. And to just kind of keep this in perspective so we don't have this enormously long video of me just rambling on, let me do you a quick background. I'm 63 years old. I'm almost 64. Since I was 10 years old, in fact even younger than that, we lived in a couple of places that were haunted as a kid. And I, at a very early age, kept asking myself, is it something I'm imagining, or is this really there? I guess I was really perceptive as a child. And very early on, it wasn't something that I wanted to believe in. It was stuff that was just kind of happening. Now, I'm not going to say that I'm a psychic or a medium, and believe me, they're completely different. Psychics, mediums, yeah, and those terms are like not interchangeable, because they're completely different, and there's different types of mediums and than there are psychics. Much like the term poltergeist, like everybody seems to think that it means ghost. No, that does not mean ghost. So anyways, skip ahead. It's now over 53 years that I have been studying the paranormal. I've got a master's degree in criminal justice. I was a cop, and I did some investigations and stuff. I mean, I'm an investigator. I'm currently a teacher. I teach middle school. But most importantly, I've got a master's in psychology. And it is regular psychology, not parapsychology, but because I've studied the paranormal, that would make me a parapsychologist to that end. So I have that experience, the scientific, the I want to see the proof, and I'm not going to just leap to wild conclusions. I'm not just going to assume that something that I saw is the real thing. I want to know the why, the how, the when, the where. I want to answer all the questions, check off all the boxes. I want to make sure whatever it is that I saw is the real deal. And people I've investigated with in different groups of stuff have kind of gotten a little pissed at me because I'm not willing to just jump up there and go, oh, that's a ghost in that picture. Oh yeah, see that light orb, that's a ghost. I don't like that. I'm a scientist. I don't want to follow as much of the scientific community's way of analyzing and testing theories and such as I can. Now, that being said, it's almost impossible. I'm going to say almost because I think I have figured out a way. And you have to understand, there's two types of scientific testing that can be done. There's your in the lab, create the experiments, go do this out there. You've got, test tubes or whatever it is that you're doing. You've got this very strict, this is the things that I'm going to do. These are the controls. We're going to make these changes to see if there's something different happens. If it changes, then we go back and we try it again, and we test, retest, test, retest, test, retest, over and over and over. And the more scientists that get involved, and everybody's still coming in on the same conclusions that these test, retests are doing, the more likely your theories are correct, and you get admired after you get pretty much beat up by the scientific and academic community. Yeah, it's fun. If you're a glutton for punishment and sadomasochism, it's a great career to get into because people will take every idea you have and trash the living hell out of it. And you open your arms and welcome it in. Yeah. So you can imagine how much fun it would be to try and prove stuff in that mindset of people about things that they can't see. Oddly, we're searching for black holes that are non-existent, according to at least the previous, it's just theories. Bloodletting during the time of George Washington led to his demise. It drained all the blood out of him, and he died from it when he had a cold, because so many doctors wanted to treat the infamous, the greatest man of our country in our time, George Washington, that they all kept bloodletting him, and they actually accidentally drained all the blood out of him, bled him to death, weakened his system, and he dropped dead from it. Yeah, that's a whole nother thing. Yeah. Anyways, stay on track. I have a tendency to ramble. I want to make sure I don't ramble. So we got to do this the right way. So my experiences. Let's get back to that. My personal experiences. I've seen a lot of stuff, but I always kind of went, because it happened so fast. Did that really happen? It's that fleeting glimpse, that second, maybe 2 seconds that but it wasn't enough to really make you feel secure in your mind. Am I going crazy, or did that really just happen? I've had near-death experiences. I've had situations where I should have been dead, and I guess you call it gut instinct, but I think there's more to it. Maybe like a guardian angel that says, don't turn this direction, turn left, don't turn right. Wait a few seconds. And that guardian angel has always been there. And I'm pretty darn sure it's a guardian angel. Am I 100%? No. But if he's there, he sure has a hell of a good sense of humor, because he has put me through hell. A lot of funny little jokes. A lot of things that I came very close to the edge and realized how lucky I was that I didn't get that. Yeah, things like that. So about 2006, I'm at my house, and you have to understand this. If you go down my hallway, I'm going to just start there. At the beginning of the hallway, to my left is the kitchen area. To my right is the living room. And when you walk down the hallway, the first door is a bedroom, and that's on the right. Across from it is a bathroom. Then you go a little further to the next room on the right, and that's my children's bedroom. And then the last bedroom on the left is the master bedroom, which was attached to the bathroom of that house. So you kind of got an idea how it goes. 2 rooms on one side, 2 on the other of the hallway. I was in the bedroom, our master bedroom. I was having some problems with my back, and I'd been laying in bed, and it was a day off. I got up, and I walk out, and as I walk out of my bedroom, my wife comes out of the bedroom across from us. She's in there helping clean up my kids' bedroom. Because, kids, they leave toys everywhere and all that stuff. And we're getting ready for dinner. My older son, he was in football. He's getting his shower. He's going to get ready to go take a shower and all. Anyways, she walks into the hallway. I walk out behind her, and I start talking to her as we're walking down the hallway. My son walks across from the bathroom to his bedroom, which is directly across the way. He'd just taken a shower after football practice. It's like, hey, Donnie, and I just keep right on going, and I'm talking to my wife. And she's walking down the hall in front of me, and she's talking, and the hall is pretty long. I mean, it takes you several seconds at least to get down that hallway. And as we turn right into the kitchen, because I think she's going to go in there and cook dinner, She turns the corner, I'm like right behind her, and she disappears right in front of me. At which point I come to a dead stop. And I'm kind of like, what in the hell did I just see? And then my wife walks out of the kid's bedroom, and I'm standing there at the foot of, looking in the kitchen where my wife is supposed to be, and she's coming out of the kid's bedroom. I'm like, how'd you get there? How did you get back there so fast? How'd you change clothes? Because she was changing something different than what I had just watched her walk into the kitchen with. She said, I've been in here the whole time. And I'm like, no, you haven't. And I realized there's just no way she could have gone through the kitchen in that moment, ran all the way around the house, jumped through the bedroom window of the kid's bedroom, and then come out in the hallway wearing all totally different clothes. There's just no way that could happen. And at that moment, while I'm sitting there staring at her, the water comes on in the kitchen sink. Nobody's standing at the kitchen sink. Now, I didn't see the full body apparition again after that. But the water faucets would come on, the toilet would flush. It was like we had another person living there. It was never frightening. Let me clarify this. I wasn't frightened. I was intrigued, to be honest with you. The family was frightened. They were scared. But it never was anything that I felt was negative. My cats wouldn't come out. Sometimes they would just stay hidden. They would go run away. They wouldn't come out. And then the sink would turn itself on. I changed the faucet on the sink, thinking, scientifically, this is what I think, well, maybe it's just a bad seal. So I went and bought a brand new, and this is a rental house, so you don't go out and buy new stuff for rental houses. You call the landlord. But I didn't really want to tell the landlord, hey, I think we got a ghost that keeps turning the water off and on. So I'm thinking it's water pressure and it's just building up. It's loosened up over the years being used. I switched it out, put a brand spanking new faucet on it. And damned if that thing within a few hours does not turn itself off and on again. Okay, so there's my experiences. This happened for a long time until we moved out of the house. Other people that moved into the house, I stopped and asked, and the lady across the street was friends of mine, and she would tell us some of the stories that the people living in our house would tell me. Like, yeah, the alarms inside the house, they put in a burglar alarm, and it kept saying there was an intruder when in fact there wasn't anybody there at all. This was the ghost. This is what everybody believes. That whole experience to me led me to one thing that was profound. In that moment that I saw the full body apparition as solid as if I was looking at anybody, solid head to toe, I came to the realization that there is more to everything we understand than everything we understand right now. In other words, there's life after death. There's something. What it is, I don't know. And the scientist in me set out to try and figure out the experiment. And I have some experiments. And in fact, I'm building a robot. And basically it's just a sensor array. The robot can go in and hopefully it detects changes in temperature, and it uses a thermal cam, and at a certain temperature that it picks up on the cameras, it's going to go towards that and try to follow it around. It's autonomous. Nobody's near it. Nobody's touching it. Nobody's even on the property. It's just operating on its own. So will it work? Who knows? I'm not a robot scientist. I don't build these things. I've been figuring it out as I go. I think I finally got the right plans. I think I finally found the right coding with some help from people in Arduino forums and RPI forums, and so it's going to go in and collect all the data. And when something, because there's so many different sensors going at the same time, when something occurs, eventually when I have enough data, I'll crunch all that data, and we'll look at it and do comparisons of times when it's dormant, there's nothing going on, and everything's the same. And then see if I can match video and sound with activity that's recorded on the data loggers, if that makes sense. If there is a change by doing a comparison and contrasting, we can map that. We can write that on a graph and show something's occurring here. See, now that's hard science. The problem, ghosts, at least the ghosts that we assume are ghosts, were people like you and me. We are ghosts at some point. If you want to believe that, it's our consciousness, our spirit. So when you're trying to set up scientific experiments, you have to do it using social science experiments. You can't use hard science experiments, because people, living or dead, are still going to do what they want. You can't, otherwise you would bias the experiment. So the spirits just got to act like people, like they would when they were alive. And if for some reason they show up and expand their energy for some moment or two, we should be able to track that. Does that make sense? All right. So they kind of got an idea of where the crazy old man is, and yeah, all right. Life after life. So is it possible? Well, let me put it this way. NASA and the science community has just developed a way to see something called neutrinos. And a neutrino is something that's absolutely unseen. They call it a ghost particle, because it actually has almost virtually no weight to it, and it is so tiny that it can go through objects. They haven't been, they know it's there, but they haven't been able to measure it, and they finally figured out a way to use it, to use those neutrinos to measure the Milky Way. I'm going from the top of my head. So, and that just happened, like, I just read the article about it in Scientific America or something, just recently. It was somewhere, or maybe I saw it on the internet. I don't know. I know it comes from a reliable source where I get my science information from. And that's not just your norm type of thing, if you follow me. That's pretty specialized. Well, all things are created from energy. Our body's one giant battery. I can't give you exact figures, but we have something called a bioelectric system. All right? But our body is different from our mind. They're, for some way or another, they're kind of separated. And when our body dies, what makes us conscious, aware of our own lives and of the world around us, can possibly leave. According to the laws of thermodynamics and all, energy has to transfer. It's not going to end and die when the body dies. And we do know from some science experiments, hard science, I'm going to point that out, hard science experiments, like the double slit experiment, that particles connect in two different ways. They connect like waves and such. They'll line up one way or they don't. And you have to watch all the videos and understand the physics involved. But here's the thing. They'll show up on the card during the experiment based on the observation of the person and their perception of what they're seeing. So they behave like particles one way, but then they also behave like waves. So we really don't understand light. We see light, but we don't understand light. Light is energy in its purest form. And in those purest forms, if it doesn't think you're paying attention, then you're not observing it, then it's going to behave in a certain way. And if you are observing it, you change it and you're causing it to do this. Which means that if we're able to cause light particles to behave in a different manner than what they should be behaving in, and that means that our brains are capable of making some type of a connection there. Which means at that point, our consciousness could probably be released when we die. And if it has the ability to stay connected to each of those particles, so they can stay in that little ball, that little tiny ball, and they wrap themselves up in that mass of energy, that's your consciousness. So it's like your file being uploaded into the internet, and the universe is the hard drive that it gets stored on. And as long as it doesn't become corrupted, it stays out there forever. So is afterlife possible? Yes, but I think it also has to do with intent. Just as we intend to see what this experiment with the double slit was doing, our intent is to continue our life after. So that means we can become an earthbound spirit because we have unfinished business with our family, our loved ones, or something so dramatic, so traumatic happened, we're stuck here. Okay, we didn't know we died. Caught in our life moment, the end of life, boom, and it's like we don't know we died because it happened so fast. Or what if you're just a really bad person, negative person? You kill people. You are such that you're just a really, truly terrible individual. Well, as we all know, positive people will attract positive people to them. Negative people won't go near a positive person. And vice versa. Positive people will avoid negative people. Okay? Negative people attract negative people, positive attract positive. So, that being the case, if that energy does stay compacted and heads for that hard drive, most likely it's going to be attracted to other positive energies in the universe. It's just like a magnet, positive and negative. The negative ones are going to go there. Well, negative spirits know they're negative and that they've done a lot of really terrible things. So they may choose to stay earthbound for fear of what's going to happen to them once they choose to move on. As you can imagine, they may have to draw energy off the living just to survive. This is what makes them so dangerous. It makes them negative and dark. Does it make them demons? Well, I think if you're stealing people's life forces from them, possibly. But the way I was raised, demons are usually entities that were never human beings. They never walked the earth. So I think you just get some real nasty, rotten entities that are ghosts. And they're humans. But they don't have a conscience, and the soul they have is so black. That's where we start seeing all the negative stuff. Alright. So, let's talk about the different types of spirits. Because it's always kind of a little easier, and it's not too complicated. And this goes a little fast. I'm sorry if I'm rambling, but I like to kind of clarify all my mind thoughts, all my thoughts, and yeah. So, what isn't a ghost? Let's start there. A golem. A golem is something that's conjured up, basically from clay, kind of something from the Hebrews, but basically it's an entity that is sent after the living, sort of like a curse, except that it's actually a 3D form. It is supposed to be able to be sent after somebody, and once it achieves whatever, hopefully you can get rid of it. But it's very dark to do stuff like that. Alright? It's conjured up. It never was a living being. It's conjured by living beings. Much like a witch would conjure a spirit from the beyond. Right? So it's going through intent. They put so much energy, which is where the ritualistic magic comes from, that it develops a life of its own. That energy becomes an entity. As you can imagine, it takes a great deal of energy to do something like that. And we're going to talk about positivity and negativity and things of that nature. Also, but different types of spirits. So the one thing that gets me the most is that everything is a demon. If you watch TV shows, everybody says, it's a demon that did that. It's a demon that did this. It's Satan. It's this. It's always negative. They're always bad, evil ghosts. They're attacking these people on TV. And, the whole world's coming to an end because this demon's attacking me in my sleep. Give me a freaking break. We got enough demons walking around out here. If you're in a house with a negative demon, move. But how much of it is just hysteria on your part, on that person's part? Not everything is negative. Ghosts were people. They were people that were alive. There are not that many demons wandering around just looking to mess with people. Most likely it's a negative spirit that's in the house that doesn't like what you're doing, and they're just messing with you. Okay? So stop calling everything evil and demons. It's not. Okay? It's just common sense. Poltergeist. What is a poltergeist? What is not a poltergeist is a ghost. A poltergeist is not a ghost. A poltergeist is a manifest, much like the golem, that only occurs around an agent. I only use the term agent. It could be, usually it's a young girl or boy, it's a young child, mostly girls, right at that preteen before they become Um, everybody goes to this middle school where they're all highly emo type, emotionally, everything is drama, the whole world's coming to an end on every little thing, and all that energy and everything. Once in a while you get a person that doesn't even realize they're doing it, that child, and that energy escapes and comes out and does things on its own. And this is not with intent. This is just all this energy is built up inside this person, and without them realizing it, they're actually discharging it, and it does things like pop lids off bottles, makes things move, throws papers. The thing is that this is not a ghost. This is what we call PK, or psychic kinetic energy release. Okay? It comes from the mind. This is why I say I believe our consciousness can be released as a brain. That being said, this is our consciousness, this is our brain, this is our soul. This is where it's at. And in weird little cases, this PK events occur because the soul's throwing stuff out, trying to get rid of it. It's just acting up. It scares the hell out of the kids that have it and the people around them, which just makes it worse. Because now you got more and more and more energy, and it's just going all over the place. As soon as they leave, all the energy comes to a dead stop. And people start figuring it out. And then they're like, man, that kid's really weird. My kid's scaring the hell out of me. Eventually, it'll go away if the person is counseled by a psychologist. Okay? And they're helped to handle their emotional problems in a different way, because what's happening is they're not able to handle them at all, so it's just coming out, just leaking out everywhere. So once they learn how to deal with whatever stresses they're going through, almost all the time it goes completely away. It's very rare that it goes into adulthood. Usually it's very short-lived, doesn't last for very long. When it does, it can be pretty damn scary. It right on up into reports of coins and rocks and stuff falling out of the ceiling, and it even raining inside a house. Yeah, nobody understands why. We know what happens, and it's part of psychology. Believe it or not, we do study this in the university, and when I was teaching, we do talk about stuff like this. But there's not a whole lot of information. Just this is something, as a psychologist or a counselor, you could come across. Is it likely? No. It's very rare. But maybe. And if you do, get as much video and send it to me, because I want to know. Alright. So the PK occurrence, it's all about emotional turbulence. Genies. A genie is a spirit that Muslims or people of Muslim faith are more familiar with. We know the stories of Aladdin and the genie, but actually genies are kind of like a different level of spirit that were here long before we were, and they have different personalities. If you're into all that, there's a possibility they could exist. I don't know about granting wishes and all. I do know that if they do exist and they grant wishes and they want something back in exchange, I don't know if that would be a very good thing to take advantage of. You know what I mean? Alright. So I'm not going to talk anymore about that because I really don't know a whole lot. Natural occurrences. Things that appear to be ghosts or ghostly activity, but isn't. Open one door on one side of the house and the house is sealed real well. So as soon as you open one door, the other door may slam. Curtains will move. Things like that. your house is wired poorly and you don't, and it can create what they call like a electromagnetic cage. So you could go through an area that's unshielded cables, and it can make your skin break out, make you itchy, hallucinate, feel sick, feel dread, doom. I mean, and it can actually make you very sick. It actually does affect your physical being, but it's not ghosts. Okay? Yep. Houses creaking, floors creaking, wood expands and contracts depending on temperature. Wind, you could have rodents. These are all things. Uneven floors, they make you feel like you're walking through a portal, because it can be off just enough where it kind of makes you, it throws off your equilibrium, right? Yeah. So all that is not a ghost. So what are ghosts? Well, there's kind of some different things here, and I'm not going to go into too much more because my video is getting long. You have the stone tape residual hauntings. Okay, these are like a videotape. Real simple. It's believed that something tragic happened, or maybe a lot of happiness or things happened, or and it doesn't have to always be negative. It can be positive things, and they imprint on the environment. Okay, a new baby coming home, that would imprint. A child dying, that would imprint. That's both good and bad. Weddings, the loss of somebody, wars, sickness, disease, any of these things, accidental shootings, these things can all become stone tape residual hauntings. Okay? Yeah. So that's what I call a natural. Just a natural occurrence. In that respect, they're a haunting, but they're not interacting with you. It's just like a videotape replaying over and over and over again, doing the exact same things, and they're totally oblivious to anything around them. Just happens. Spirits. Now we're going to talk about the ghosts. All right. These are conscious entities that are aware of people around them, like me and you, or anybody. Living people, and can interact with them. The spirits have some type of intelligence, may respond through EVPs or through PK, like moving something, making sounds, maybe a tap, things like that. Remember that there were people once too, if they have strong religious beliefs, they may not like you because you don't. And that doesn't make them evil, but they're so firmly convinced that their way is the only way. You can imagine what that would be like living with somebody in the house. I mean, it's going to judge you all the time. Obviously, not good, right? Yep. You can ask them questions and get answers. Sometimes they may be spirits of people that you loved, your parents, or child, your grandparents, people that have stayed there in that spot and are there when needed in times of crisis. Now come and they help you. Helpful spirits. Now these aren't angels. Angels are a completely different thing. And if you believe in the angels, then you know that's a whole different person. Like guardian angels. They're kind of like assigned to us before we're born. And their job is to kind of help guide us. But they can't make us do anything. Angels, same thing. And it would have to be pretty significant for them to be involved in anything we do. But a guardian angel is sort of like somebody, I think, that has more learning that they need to achieve to move to a higher level of existence. And dying would be going to a higher level of existence, I would think, depending on what type of person you are. And it's all based on intent. That's why I try to live my life trying to be as good a person as I can. Do I get mad? Yes. Do I cuss a lot? Yes. Do I have a lot of anger? Yes. Do I have a lot of stress? Yes. Am I trying to get rid of all that crap before I die? Yes. Because it's not good for me to carry. And the stress, believe it or not, wipes out your immune system, which can cause you to have cancer and other nasty little diseases, heart disease and things. And it can take your life, because it's taking parts of your life. All that time you carry around all that hate and anger and frustration, which is something I did carry around a lot, thanks to law enforcement. Just kind of rubs off on you. Yeah, all them negative people, you get frustrated, you wish things were different. I now have to learn how to let go of all that crap, because I want to live a lot longer and spend quality time with my children and my grandchildren. And yeah. Moving on. Elementals. These are nature spirits. You find a lot of this more like in England and Ireland, Scotland, and maybe other places around the world. Fairies and pixies and sprites and Native Americanism, animism and all, everything has a spirit. So yeah, and I believe that. I've seen some videos where the scientists had set up, I guess, a way for the plant to change what happened to the plant into a sound. And the plant was happy as it was getting fed and watered properly. It had one particular tone, but when they cut it, it screamed. I wasn't there personally, but it seems to me that plant had feelings, emotions. It could sense on that level. There have been reports where areas with bushes and trees and grass and all released toxic, poisonous gases into the air and attacked human beings. It's rare, but it's like Mother Nature turned on the people that were there that were doing terrible things. Again, these are things I've read about in scientific journals, but I can't remember where I read them. I just know that I've read about them. I thought were interesting enough that it stayed in my mind and I'm remembering. There it is. All right. So, shadow people, black masses in houses. Generally speaking, if you do paranormal investigation, anything black, dark is generally considered negative. Shadow people tend to be very negative people. But what if they just don't know how to materialize completely? That's my first thought. So I'm on the fence on it. Are they really as negative, or are they just kind of lurking and just watching? Who knows? I'm not going to go into it either way. Negative spirits, we talked about them. You know, if you're a bad person your whole life, you're going to be a bad person when you die. Unless you've made some type of great big changes and try to make amends for all the terrible that you did, you're pretty much going to be the same person that you were when you were alive. Same thing if you're good. Negative spirits will become attachments. Okay, and an attachment is bad because, and I'm going to use this term because I believe it actually fits. Psychic vampires. What they're doing is they're stealing your life force from you, your energy. And over time, that will weaken you down to a point where it'll make you sick, wipes out your immune system, just like stress, because of course it's creating stress. And eventually, you're going to get sick and die. And if it happens enough, or there's more spirits that are in there, or if you live in a place where they're all coming together, yep, gonna happen. So there you go. Demons. We talked about demons. They never lived on this earth. They're coming from a completely different realm. So I'm not gonna even go into that. That's pretty obvious. What would cause ghosts and spirits to interact? Well, that's pretty simple. Energy. They need energy. We're living energy. We're one giant battery. Remember I told you our whole body is one giant bioelectrical battery to create energy for our brains? Okay, we're the synapses and all what's going on, electrical signals, and yeah. That's what it's about. So when they want to interact, they're going to let you know they're there. We don't want them there, but sometimes they feel like they need to say, hey, look, I don't like you. Or maybe you're sharing a house with them after you bought a house and you don't realize it. And they're just like, hey, hi neighbor, we're here. We're not evil, etc., etc. Just don't mess with us, we won't mess with you. Most times it's something like that. If you're, and you'll feel silly doing it, but if you really have come to the conclusion that you have something else living in your house besides you, address them and tell them, please stop scaring my children or me or my family. We acknowledge the fact that you're here, but this is our house now. And we're alive and this is where we live. And you're not here anymore. So if you could please politely not bother us. Leave us, get out of our house, or go stay wherever you are, and then when we're not home you can come here. That's fine. But just understand that this is a place for families and for love and happiness. And not things that are going to scare us and make us afraid to live here. This is our home, just like how you loved it. Usually, believe it or not, spirits will listen to that and you won't have any problems. Just like talking to another person. If we treated the spirits on the other side like they were living, you'd be surprised that a lot of these hauntings where everybody's terrified tend to all go away really easy. Okay? Why is this? Spirits feed on energy. So, you remember back when we talked about poltergeists? All that energy coming up because the children are really freaked out and screaming and scared and emotional. That's all being released. So all the energy, spirits can feed off of that. So if you do have a ghost there, in addition to this PK thing going on, it's sucking up all this energy. Well, imagine if you're a ghost that you knew you could scare people, especially something negative. Positive won't do this. But negative ghosts will stay close to a human being and draw all that energy out. Suck all that energy off them. Psychic vampires. Make you sick and weak, and then you finally realize that by then it's almost too late. They need energy. So the more scared you are, the more supercharging you act like. You're a supercharger. You're literally charging up their battery so they can mess with you more. The more you charge them up, the more they're going to mess with you. The more fear you have, the more they gain from it. You ever have an argument with somebody that was just too stupid, couldn't figure it out, and they just kept arguing with you, and they just got more and more and more louder and louder and angrier. And even though you knew you were in the right, they just kept going to a point where you finally just stopped, and then they stopped. Same thing with spirits. They were people too. Keep that in mind. Be nice. Better than being mean, especially when it's something you can't see. I'm just saying, it's a psychologist in me, but I'm just saying, try to find a way to work things out. Don't be a dick. Okay? Places where ghosts are going to be, or what might cause them to act up. Remodeling. You're messing with their old environment, and if there's a stone tape type of thing going, or that's where all their energy's coming from. You start messing with it, it might weaken them. We don't know. Static electricity, when it's cold and dry air, you ever touch something and you get zapped after walking on carpets? Well, that's electricity. That little tiny amount is all the particles need just to stay coherent. So it doesn't take much for them. So they're going to be someplace where that's at. Electromagnetic frequencies. Well, there you go. Electricity and magnetism. Yeah, this is the universe. This is the building blocks of the universe. So you need them. They create electricity. They create energy. That's what energy is. Moving water. You got kinetic energy from the water's movement. So wherever there's running water, brooks, creeks, streams, oceans, guess where you're going to have energy, right? Areas with quartz, because it kind of, certain types of quartz can actually retain energy to very small amounts, but again, it doesn't take much for a spirit to stay coherent, to stay put together. All those little particles could fit, especially if they turn out to be like neutrinos, which are ghost particles, right? You want to find ghosts? Best places to go: bars, hotels, schools, theaters, anywhere there's large groups of people expending a lot of energy. Gyms, right? Any place people are meeting. This way, spirits can kind of come through, scoop up a little bit of energy, and just keep right on going. And they got all the time. They're not interested in messing with anybody or letting them know. They're just there to kind of take a little bit of energy just to keep coherent. Okay. Bad things happen if a spirit attaches itself to you because they're sucking off your life force. These are spirits that are not going to just come through and just kind of catch it in the air. They're actually going to attach themselves to a human being and take your energy from you. And if your system's already weak because you got a lot of emotional problems, like you're a bar and you're drinking and you're in seedy kind of stuff, or you doing things you ain't supposed to be doing, these type of spirits can attach themselves to you for that very reason. It makes it very easy for them. The door's unlocked. You're emotionally open and you've got a lot of energy coming out. Defense. Just so you know, I got notes. I have notes and notes and notes. Yeah, all types of notes. Defense is against spirits. First thing I can tell you, you gotta be a positive individual. Be a happy. I don't mean like stupid slap happy, laughing idiot all the time. I'm talking about be a good person, be kind, help people, be understanding, even on your worst days. Be the best person you can be. Because that type of energy, if something's negative, they don't want that energy. Because it rubs off on them. And that's not what they're looking for. Okay? Same thing, negative spirits, man, they just eat it all up if you're a negative person. So the best defense against a negative spirit is just to be a strong, loving person and surround yourself with love and happiness and kindness. And those things, they can't break through that barrier. Love is the strongest power in the universe. It has more energy in it than anything else. It connects us to the people that have left us and gone beyond. It's what ties all of us together. It's who we are. And that can't be beat by anything negative. It could try, but it can't. It just simply can't. So if you want a defense against that, I would say that's it. I'm sure somebody's going to really hate me for this, but I don't believe in religion. See, religion to me, very simply, is I have a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. And my peanut butter and jelly sandwich, I like it with strawberry jelly and, say, crunchy peanut butter on wheat bread. But then there's those people who gotta have the perfect white bread, grape jelly, smooth peanut butter, only from Jif or whatever. So anybody else that has that other type of is just evil. And so how do they handle it? They walk up and they shoot you in the face. Okay, let's examine the sandwiches. We're eating the sandwiches because A, we really like them, and B, because they're providing nutrition. Right? So we're trying to fill our bodies so that we have energy to keep moving. Let's switch the sandwiches to religion. I'm Catholic, you're Protestant. I like my religion, but because I don't agree with your religion, I'll just pull out a gun and shoot you. Because although we're both all about the same thing, love for God. You're going to kill me to show that you love God better than me. And I'm going to try and kill you because I'm going to prove to God that I love you. Because I know you're just not doing it right. My first thought is, who the hell am I to tell you how to live your life? More so, who the hell are you to tell me how to live mine? A little thing called free will. And when you have religion, religion takes away your free will. See, that's the one gift that God or the universe or whatever you want to call him or her gives you to make your own decisions, to make your own choices, and you get to live with those choices. And you always have your entire life to make amends for those, to have regret, to have a conscience, to try to make up for things that you did, because that's learning and growing. That's what humans do. So there it is. I mean, yeah, there it is. So that's my lecture for tonight, my video. I know there's not a whole lot. If you got some questions, I'm always here available. And if you like my video, please subscribe. I really would like you guys to subscribe a lot. Until later, this is Michael Atencio with Get Real. Thank you for staying with me this long. I hope that my sharing my points of view and all, if you'd like to discuss them and you have questions or queries, you can put them down in the comments area. You can reach out to me. I always check and answer them, and if it's been a while, just put them in there, and eventually I'll get some notifications telling me, hey, people are asking questions, and I'll go look. Have a wonderful, safe time, a great life, love each other, and be safe out there. Thanks for watching, and we'll talk to you next time. Bye-bye.